Coming up today on the channel, another round of records and vinyl finds that made their way into my collection coming right up. Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast and Vinyl Channel. As I always say in these videos, if you could take the time to hit the subscribe button below, we greatly appreciate it. What matters more to me than anything, though, is the interaction. So as I go through the new vinyl finds that have made their way into my collection, if you have questions or comments on anything, please by all means drop a comment below. And if you like what you see on this or any video on the channel, a like greatly appreciated because it helps our channel grow. So let me get into one of these videos that I do every couple of months. Actually, the new arrivals that I purchased over the last couple of months kind of got away from me, and I meant to do one of these sooner, so there's might be a few more in this one than there was in the last one. I've covered in the video before and on the channel several times why I even have a new arrival section, and the first record in this section this time is exactly proof of why I need a new arrivals section, and that is Adele's latest record, 30. And this is just the common pressing that was available at record stores. I didn't go for any of the alternate pressings that are available at Target or Walmart or anything along those lines. Longtime Adele fan, so I just wanted the LP as I could get it. I wasn't concerned with variants in color or track listing. I just wanted the straight album. But this makes a case for why it is that I have a new arrivals bin, because even though this record has been out for a few months, I have yet to hear one note of this album. Very long story. I just haven't got to it yet. A big fan of her. I haven't even heard the lead single, so it's not like I was turned off by that. It's just something that hasn't, I haven't had the right mood yet to throw on, the mood or right opportunity to throw on, so it's staying in the new arrivals bin for now until I get a chance to listen to it at least a couple of times before it gets filed away. After that is a record that you're probably would be confused as to why it's in my new arrivals bin, and that is a pressing of A Love Supreme by John Coltrane. This was a gift from a friend of the channel, which I'm very grateful for. If you've listened to the Infectious Groove podcast or you've seen any amount of the channel, you probably know I identify as jazz deficient, and I like a lot of jazz that I've heard, but I have not picked up anywhere near the amount of jazz records that I feel like I should own. So I have a friend, well, several friends who I consider jazz Sherpas, who kind of help me out when they can. So a friend gifted this to me. It's in the new arrivals bin because it's something I really have to dig into before it gets filed. This next one was also a gift from a friend, for which I am very grateful. I am a fan of both of these artists, but had casually mentioned that I had never heard this collaborative effort that they did together, and that is Wise Up Ghost by Elvis Costello and the Roots. It came up in casual conversation when a friend and I were discussing production on drums, and he had mentioned that this record has some of the best sounding drums that he's ever heard. He was nice enough to purchase it for me and have it sent to the house, and it really does. It sounds every bit as good as he said it does, and it's one that I haven't dug into. I have listened to this 2 or 3 times, but it's one that I haven't dug into nearly as much as I want to. But Wise Up Ghost, Elvis Costello and the Roots, great record that I'm very excited to own and look into more. The next couple of pieces were from Record Store Day Black Friday that I'm very excited to have for one reason or another, one of which is a live presentation from Carole King, the BBC 1971. Not really much to say on this other than it's directly after the release of Tapestry. It's a BBC radio recording, so it sounds absolutely fantastic, and it was one of the few Record Store Day Black Friday releases that I wanted, so I'm glad that I got that. The next one is another Record Store Day piece from Black Friday for a band that I feel is criminally underrated and will never get the due that they deserve, and that is King's X, and this particular record is called Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous. This was digitally released about a year before the Record Store Day piece came out, and very, very, very good sounding pressing of a great King's X record. As you know, I don't care too much about color variants and whatnot, but this particular one was on a very cool translucent yellow, bright yellow color, which is cool. But for me, the sound of the record matters more than anything, and it's a great sounding pressing of a fantastic record by a very underrated band. So King's X, Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous is another one that's found its way into my bins. I don't really buy a lot of comedy records. I probably have around 20 or so, not counting owning the entire Weird Al catalog, but Weird Al I view more as music than comedy. But as far as straight comedy records, I don't really own a whole bunch. But recently, I got some songs stuck in my head from the comedy act The Lonely Island, who were closely associated with Saturday Night Live, and they have at least 3 records out, if not 4, maybe. But the first album that they put out has a lot of the songs that I enjoy a great deal. I feel like there's songs on here that could be big hits even on their own without even worrying about the comedy aspect of them. It's just really, really well constructed songs with a lot of this record. So The Lonely Island, Incredibad. This is literally the product of something that just crossed my mind, and I thought, oh, I bet that's in such limited numbers that you won't be able to find it. So I looked quickly on Discogs and found out that they were readily available for a low price. So I picked that up. Lonely Island, Incredibad. It's on black vinyl, very, very, very basic packaging and pressing, but it's one that crossed my mind and I wanted to own. This next one is another one that falls into the Adele category, but it's a much newer release, and that is the latest LP from the Lumineers, Brightside. This is another one that I have not heard one note of music off yet. This is my latest blind buy in all of the records that I own, and the Lumineers are just a band that I like a lot. I wouldn't classify them as one of my all-time favorite artists or anything, but I do like a lot of what they do, and I've heard good buzz on this new record. I haven't purchased the last couple of albums from them, even though I heard really good things about those. So I thought I'd take a chance and buy this one. Again, can't really do any sort of review on it because I haven't heard one note of it yet. I just purchased it within a couple of days of shooting this video. So it will get spun soon and we'll check it out. Black vinyl, nice gatefold, very basic packaging, but Lumineers, Brightside. I've got a couple of records in here that are Walmart exclusives that I learned about over the past couple of weeks, and I have no problem picking up records, especially when they're an exclusive from a big box retailer, if I have no other option anyways. And both of them, I'll get to one now and another in a bit, are hits packages that work great for me with these particular artists. One of which is a double LP set of Martina McBride Greatest Hits the RCA Years. I do have at least one LP from Martina McBride later after she left RCA, but given my age and everything, a lot of what I listened to in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s was Martina McBride when she was on the RCA label. There's so much on here. Independence Day, Life Number 9, Happy Girl, Broken Wing, Wrong Again, Whatever You Say. There's so many great pop country songs, either upbeat pop songs or some fantastic ballads that show off her voice. So this, as far as I'm aware, is a Walmart exclusive, a 2 LP set of Martina McBride, which covers a ton of what I wanted from her career. So I picked that up. Next one is a Black Friday Record Store Day piece of an album that I have wanted for a very long time. I was more than happy to pick up the reissue of, and that is Mr. Big, Lean Into It. Fantastic record. Most people only know this album for the song To Be With You, which is a great song, but boy, oh boy, the whole record is just a showcase for what a fantastic band Mr. Big is and was. And this is one that I never got around to picking up the original pressing of for whatever reason, and I've owned a bunch of the 7-inches off of this album over the years, but I just never got around to picking up the actual full record, so prices got out of hand on it so much that I just decided to wait for it to get reissued. Lo and behold, Record Store Day Black Friday came about, and I was able to get that. Next one up in the bin is the latest from Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, The Future. I know there are a bunch of different variants of this record out there, different colors of the cover even, and the vinyl itself. I personally just picked up what was available at my local record store, which was on black vinyl, and again, I know there's a ton of different variants of this out there. I just wanted a good sounding copy of the record, so I grabbed what my local store had. For me, this is a little bit more mellow than I expected it to be. I don't dislike it by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a little more mellow than I was thinking it was going to be. I've listened to it 2 or 3 times, but haven't really dug into it yet, so it's still in the bin because it's something I want to listen to more before it gets filed away. But I definitely like what I've heard so far from The Future, the latest from Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. This next record is one of those ones that you would think, how on earth do you have a vinyl collection the size that you have and you've never owned this album before? I fixed it. I finally own this album now. That is Stevie Nicks' Belladonna. Again, never had any issue with Stevie Nicks. As a matter of fact, I'm a big fan of Stevie Nicks, her work inside and outside of Fleetwood Mac. And for whatever reason, I have just never got around to purchasing any of her solo stuff outside of Fleetwood Mac. So I was in the local record store, saw a great clean copy for a reasonable price of Belladonna, picked it up, brought it home. Now this one is egregiously in my new arrival bin because I've listened to it incessantly since I brought it home. Many spins on this record already, but it's one that I'm not quite ready to file away yet because I just keep listening to it frequently. Oftentimes when we get out, have our music gatherings as of late, this makes an appearance in our spins, so it's just here kind of easy to grab. But Stevie Nicks' Belladonna, didn't own it forever, finally fixed that, and I own it now. This next one is one that's kind of one of those confusing titles where it was released and some people got it and some people don't. I even know local record stores that for whatever reason couldn't get it until way after Amazon was shipping it. It was a whole thing, but I just waited for my local store to get it so I could go pick one up. It's a 3 LP set of Oasis at Knebworth in 1996. Here's the thing with Oasis. If you love Oasis and their early material, the first 3 albums, you are going to absolutely love this set. If you don't like those first 3 albums, or if you're dead set against Oasis for whatever reason, this is not going to change your mind. This is Oasis very much being Oasis, very much at that time. The set list is comprised of those first 3 records. They play everything a little bit faster than the LP, which I liked when I saw Oasis the several times that I saw them. And just a master control over the audience. Well done, 3 LP, gatefold. Sound quality is great for me, but this one is another one that I picked up just within a couple of days of shooting this video, so it's still in the new release bin because I haven't really listened to it as much as I want to just yet. This next one is the latest release from Elvis Presley in the reissues and uncovering of many studio releases, repackaging of many studio releases, I should say. This is a follow-up to an LP that came out earlier in 2021. This is Elvis back in Nashville. Many people who appreciate the work that Elvis did past 1968 very much like those Nashville sessions that he was involved in right around between like 68 and 71. So this is a 2 LP set of more from those sessions. Again, a lot of it is repackaged. It's stuff that's been released in other box sets, but it's nice for somebody like me to have on a 2 LP set. This was also released as a 5 CD set with the complete sessions, so this version is just a highlights, if you will, of those sessions, and that's fine for me. If I want to listen to all of those every single take, I'll bring it up on streaming in the car and listen to that. But for my purposes of sitting around listening to records, 2 LP set of Elvis in his prime, recording some of the best music that he recorded in his whole career, works just fine for me. This is another one that is a Walmart exclusive, and for me, a hits package for this artist works just fine, with no disrespect toward the rest of his solo career, but for me, a hits package works just fine for this artist. And that is Darius Rucker #1's Volume 1. And to my knowledge, this is only a Walmart exclusive. It actually came on red vinyl, and right when Darius Rucker put out his solo country stuff, Don't Think I Don't Think About It, All Right, those type of singles, I like all that stuff, and I like the singles that I've heard, but I haven't been interested enough to really pick up a full solo record from Darius Rucker. So when I saw this, I was like, well, that's got every song that I want from him right on one, and the sound on it is really, really good. I was very surprised. I thought it would be serviceable at best, and I put it on. Really rich, deep sound, great sounding pressing. And I don't know if it will be available elsewhere. I just know where I saw it was Walmart, and it said Walmart exclusive on it. So this one here was another Black Friday record store day piece. Saigon Kick, The Lizard. Great underrated band from that era in the late 80s, where there were so many big hits, but so many bands got overlooked in the late 80s and the early 90s. I firmly believe Saigon Kick is one of those bands that got overlooked, that deserved way more praise than they got. I love this album, but my favorite album of theirs is an album called Water that, to my knowledge, has yet to be pressed on vinyl. So I'm hoping that with things like this, Mr. Big, King's X, getting more attention from Record Store Day or even Record Store Day Black Friday, I'm hoping that releases like this mean that there's more coming from these underrated bands. So The Lizard, Saigon Kick, great record, great album, great sounding pressing. I heard on some vinyl pages that a lot of people had quality control issues with this one. I haven't. It sounds great to me. It's flat, no pops, no clicks. So hopefully people are able to get the issues rectified if you're one of the people who had a problem with this one. This next thing I don't have to touch too much on because there is a whole video on this on the channel. Skid Row, The Atlantic Years box set, which includes their first 3 studio records, a B-sides album, and a live EP that had previously only been available in Japan on CD. That's all the detail you really need in this video, because there is a whole video on this box set on the channel already. If you're interested in more detail on it, you can look at that. But it's in my new release bin yet solely because I haven't filed it away. I've listened to everything in here several times, and it didn't get featured in an actual new release video yet, so it was still there. This is a blind buy that I made the other day, and I love this artist. And I just bought this probably 3 or 4 days before shooting this video, and I'm very impressed with what I heard. This is the latest from St. Paul and the Broken Bones. It's called The Alien Coast. It's actually pressed on a gold-ish flake vinyl of sorts. If you haven't heard St. Paul and the Broken Bones, what they've done previous to this is very gospel, soul, R&B feel. They carry that feeling over on this record a great deal, but they also work in more elements of like a trip hop, like a spacey vibe to it. Just picked it up a couple of days ago. I've only given it a couple of spins, but I really like what I've heard so far. St. Paul and the Broken Bones, Alien Coast, great record. This next one, as we're coming up to the end, is one of those ones that you would think, how do you not own those bands? It's along the lines of Stevie Nicks, and that is the band UFO, Strangers in the Night, 2 LP set. I have never owned any UFO albums ever, not on CD, cassette, or vinyl. They're just one of those bands that I never got around to getting into, and everybody I know has told me, I can't believe you don't own UFO. I can't believe you're not into UFO. So I saw a great pressing of Strangers in the Night, which I've always heard is a good place to start, in great shape, and found it across the state in Michigan. So I said, well, let's just dive in here. Have not even listened to this yet, just picked it up a couple of days ago, but I'm anxious to hear what all the buzz and praise is about. Rounding things out in the new arrivals bin, this is another one that I picked up a while ago, or was delivered to me a while ago, and there is a video on this already on the channel, but again, I haven't listened to it as much as I want to, so it's still kind of chilling in my new arrivals bin. The White Stripes live at the Detroit Institute of Arts in 2002, I believe, 2001. And I did a whole video on this again. You can go and check the channel for that. Great sounding show. The band is really on fire, and there's not much else for me to say here, but it's still in my new release bin because it is a record that I haven't listened to as much as I want to just yet. Like I said at the top of the video, I do these videos every so often just to kind of run over things that I've purchased in the last couple of months. If you saw anything in here that you have questions about, or you have comments about, or if you want to share some of the records that you personally have picked up lately, by all means, drop me a comment. If you like the content that you see on the channel, it always helps if you drop a like. It helps the channel grow. And if you're not subscribed already, please consider hitting the subscribe button so you get to see the 2 new vinyl videos we do every week. As I always say at the end of these videos, thank you so much for watching.